Alright. Okay. Time to feed these hungry Steam Deck fans again. Yeah. They don't take no nonsense, man. Anyway, and you Linux gamers, yeah. Yeah. I seen an article with Ubuntu and Windows. I gotta read up on it. But yeah, Linux is always getting updates, man. Every distro, yeah. Even the Steam Deck, man. Updates galore. Anyway, I got a little short video here. This is about wine again. This is for wine again. Listen to this. Wine 9.10 Wine 9.10 brings updates. VKD3D, more ARM improvements. Wine 9.10 development release is out now for Windows compatibility layer. Part of the secret juice to Steam Play Pro time. Here's the release highlights. Bundled VKD3D upgrade to version 1.2. DPI awareness supports improvements. C++ RTTI support on ARMs. More obsolete features removed in Wine D3D and various bug fixes. It says bug fixes includes problem solved for Silent Hill 4, The Boom, various SRPG studio games, Paint Net, Notepad++, EA App Launcher, DualShock 4 controller fixes, Far Cry 3, Horizon Zero Dawn CE, Metro Exodus, and other miscellaneous issues to improve compatibility with Windows apps and games. It says their VKD3D version 1.12 was also released a few days ago, which includes the HLSL compiler can directly output SPIRV, and Direct 3D shaders assembly. Improved support for shaders model 1 through 3 in the HLSS compiler, and it says miscellaneous bug fixes and performance improvement. Yeah, that should do it. So you Linux gamers should be covered with that little updates. And yeah, like I've always told you, updates are being made. Yeah, so it's always some updates being made, man. So yeah, you Linux gamers and that use Wine, that update is for you. So it fixes a lot of things. EA App, DualShock, Far Cry 3, Horizon Zero Dawn, Metro Exodus, Silent Hill 4. Yeah, fixes a lot of stuff. So that should help out. So you guys, you're good. News, deals, games update, the usual. Yeah, you got 15,000 plus games to play. We're about to start June. Today is what the 31st or the 1st? Well, today's the 1st. Today is the 1st of June. Yeah, and more news and more updates are coming, so I'll keep you posted. Yeah, 15,000 plus game, huh? Yeah, they're working. Linux gamers are good. They got choices. Laptop, desktop, of course, and the Steam Deck. So yeah, you guys are good. And more news will be coming. And PlayStation Showcase showed off a lot. You know, and it was a pretty good one. You know, it's just that in today's video game climate, with today's games, you know, when you were playing games like on the older consoles back in the early 90s, the maps were like this. The console can only do so much, so the maps were small. You had to use what you got. Then when you went to another console generation, the games start to open up. And then when you went to another console generation, the games open up even more. And then when you got to like the with the PS3 360 era, the games really start to open up now. You know, and then when you got to the PS4, Xbox One, oh yeah, everything is now open world now. So yeah, that's how it goes, you know. But there were some games back in the old console days to let us know that we were going to, the games were going to be open world going forward, you know. And yeah, we're here now. So some of today's games might take a little longer to make. You might need DLCs and expansions to really fix those games or keep those games to really complete those games. You might like, it's kind of like, let's take Skull and Bones for a minute. When they first released that game from Ubisoft, when they first showed the demo of the game, I said from day one that they were supposed to release that game right then and there, and then build it. And you know, the game, they didn't, and they went through like 4 developers, like 4 directors or something like that, to get the game finally made, because another director will come in and take the game this way and another one that way. So that was the delay problem they were having. But I've always said that game should have been released. That game should have been released, and then, you know, you build the game as you go, you know, because time is everything in all this. But Rare now, they capitalize off it. Rare released Sea of Thieves, but they didn't just release and then stop there. They were talking to the users, and then they were having little events, and they were releasing updates and DLC, and there was a constant communication back and forth. And that's what Ubisoft should have done, you know. So yeah, so in today's gaming world, you know, you have to have DLCs and expansions to build games, you know. You know, and just because you release the game, that don't mean the game is complete. It means the games need to be updated. Look at the Avengers with Crystal Dynamics. That game needs some work, because WB Games with DC Universe gave everybody a blueprint. Like, okay, if you're gonna make a superhero game, it needs to be in this format. It needs to be in this format. It was a template. So all Crystal Dynamics had to do was take that format and apply it to the Avengers. The game wouldn't have received the feedback, the blows it was getting. But they didn't. They went against it, and they paid a price. You know, Rocksteady with the Batman Arkham series took that format from from Warner Brothers and ran with it, and they had success with Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. Insomniac Games now, they took the same format, and it worked with Spider-Man, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Spider-Man 2. So yeah, so Crystal Dynamics need to take the Avengers, take that and fix that game with some DLCs and some expansions. That game is not complete. It's not open world enough. It's limited in what you can do. You know, so with today's games, you have to with today's games, you need DLCs and expansions to build them, you know. So and I'm hearing people talking about, oh, this is the worst console generation. Nonsense. It's the worst console generation to you because you don't understand video games, period. That's what it is. Because today's games are so big now, once you release it, you got to follow that up with updates. Look at Multiverse. I said months ago, like, they should have kept that game online, because when you take a game offline, here's the thing: when you take a game offline and then you try to go back and build it, you lose the momentum you had, because you lose your user base. You lose some of your users. So if you're gonna work on a game, you have to keep that game online, but you got to stay in constant communication with your users. It's a back and forth thing, back and forth. Look at CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk. They never took the game offline They were releasing expansions and updates, you know, and they were in constant communication with their users. Look at Cyberpunk now. So in today's video game climate, you can't take a game offline and say, "Oh, I'm gonna take it offline and go work on it," and then leave your users in the dark. That's a no-no, because you're gonna lose that momentum. You're gonna lose that momentum, and a lot of your users are gonna go elsewhere. So when it comes to today's games, man, you need DLCs and expansions to build today's games, man. So yeah, that's how it is in the game industry, man. And a lot of those games, a lot of people now, what they try to do is tear down the game. They'll try to attack a game and like act like the game can't be fixed. Look at Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. When people were attacking it first, I didn't see what they were attacking it at the time. So when I went back and looked at it, I'm like, okay, I see what you guys are mad about. You're mad because the game is not a Batman game. That's what it is. But from where I'm sitting and what I saw, is like, okay, Rocksteady is like, okay, you know what? Batman has been in the spotlight for we gave Batman his shine and his glory. Now it's the Suicide Squad turn. So what the Batman fans did was attack the Suicide Squad game because it's not a Batman game. And then all of a sudden now they try to say, oh, it's because it's an MMO. They try to use that excuse. But then Rocksteady, they probably didn't even see why the game was getting really attacked. They go like, oh, it was the worst. They said something. It was like it was the worst game release. But guess what? It's not. The game, with the game the way it is, it's fine. It's fine. All they have to do now is use DLCs and expansions and new gameplay mechanics and add it to the game, and that's all they got to do. So in today's video game climate, DLCs and expansions are needed to complete them. So when you see YouTubers like throwing tantrums, over a game, they don't get it. They don't understand. They don't understand that DLCs and expansions. They don't understand today's gaming environment now. When you make them open world now, you need DLCs and expansions to really complete them, and new gameplay mechanics to add on top of what you already have. So yeah, so that's how it is now in the game industry, man. So so when I see people getting mad over a game, I sit back and look at it for a minute, and I'm like, okay, I see what the problem is. The Avengers, I saw that clear as day. The game wasn't open world enough. There's a lot of gameplay mechanics that was missing from the game. It wasn't. You couldn't take Iron Man and fly to the clouds and back. You couldn't take Iron Man, fly to the cloud, land on top of the Ames building, fly around the building. You couldn't do that. You were limited. You couldn't even fly on top of a normal building. That's how bad it was. So that game needed DLCs and expansions, and the world needed to be more open. You know, you needed the freedom of movement needed to be available. Needed to be more available. You never had it, so that game needed some more DLCs and expansions to fix it. The game is not bad, and the game is not in a terrible state. It just needs to be more open. You know, your freedom of movements need to be more improved, and you need more gameplay mechanics. And that's it. For instance, like when you were running on the Golden Gate Bridge, you couldn't even jump off the bridge into the water. You couldn't get under the bridge. You couldn't fly on the left. You couldn't fly on the right. You couldn't even take the Hulk and jump and land on top of one of those pillars that holds up the bridge. That's how bad that game was. So that game needed DLCs and expansion to fix it. It's not in a terrible state. It just needs DLC and expansion. It's the same with Anthem. It's the same with Anthem. This game here, this one, Anthem. It's the same with this. This game needs DLCs and expansion. Okay, EA has a gem on their hand, but Anthem, they just need to put some more DLCs and expansion to it. Oh yeah, it's the same, man. So a lot of today's games, man, you need DLCs and expansions, man, and to fix these games, to fix a lot of these games, you know, because open world now, open world games, you know, open world games, they're big, and not only that, it creates more work too, you know, and gives you more ideas. Like, oh, I could add this, I could add that. Yeah. So that's how it is in today's games, man. So a lot of today's games that that YouTubers were getting, that people, you saw people getting mad about on YouTube, they were trying to act like the games couldn't be fixed. They can be fixed, but the question is this: how fully committed are the developers to those games? How fully committed are they? Just saying, how fully committed are they when it comes to those games, man? So yeah, and do they believe in seeing the project all the way through? Yeah. So when it comes to today's games, man, you need DLCs and expansions to fix those games, man. This game here, Anthem, the freedom of movement is impressive, but now we need some expansion and some DLC, and maybe we need to use the robots to fly up to above the clouds, man. Oh yeah, we need that. So yeah, man. A lot of today's gamers, man. Some people on YouTube try to tear a game down like the game can't be fixed, but they can be fixed. I mean, look at Redfall right now too. Like, the first game is the start of something. The first game is always the start of something. The second game now makes up for the first game. And I didn't even like the fact that Microsoft even closed Arcane Studios to this day. I don't. They should have kept them around and made a Redfall 2. You know, use the second game, you know, fix the first game with DLCs and expansion. But use the second, use Redfall 2 to make up for Redfall 1. Just saying. So yeah. You need that's how they should have approached it. You need DLCs and expansion in today's gaming market, gaming universe to build today's games, man. So yeah, that's how it is, man. And yeah, man. Today's games they're big. A lot of room, a lot of improvements, a lot of updates, man. And these developers, you know, they got to be fully committed to these projects, you know. They got to be fully committed to these games. You know, it's like a marriage. It's all about commitment, and that's how you're gonna get the best out of it. Just saying. So you gotta stay committed to it, man. Yeah. But other than that, man, yeah. Today's games, you need DLCs and expansions to fix them, to build them. You know, I mean, what you release is like a rough draft or a template for what you're gonna build. But now you got to follow that up with DLCs and expansion, and you got to stay in communication with your users. You know, yeah, you have to. Communication is big in today's games, very big. And Rare Studios showed me that, because when they released Sea of Thieves, man, they were on it. They were just like talking to the users. You know? Valve did the same thing too, talking to their user base. You know, like what needs fixing, what that. It was like a back and forth thing, back and forth. Yeah, this is yeah, and yeah. Look at the success they're having. You know, so communication is big in today's games, really big, and you need DLCs and expansions to build today's games. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still Star Wars and Star Trek fan for Dark Section. Go. Peace.